the road again. We can't wait to get on the road again. Telling stories to our family and our friends. We can't wait to get on the road again. On the road again. We can't wait to get on the road again. Telling stories to our friends. We can't wait to get on the road again.
Welcome to our monthly AAA podcast, Affinity, Allie, and Annette on the road to good storytelling with your host, Allie Spooner and moi.
Good morning. I'm Allie Spooner, and I also write with Affinity Rainbow Publications. And I've got over 40 published titles in a variety of genres. And I have an opportunity to meet some new authors. We've got a brand new author with Affinity today, and I'd like to welcome her. And we appreciate the support and invite you to visit our Affinity Rainbow Publications to check out our books.
And I'm Annette Mori, also with Affinity Rainbow Publications, and I've been with them for I think it's almost 10 years now. Can't believe that, almost 10 years.
Yeah.
So thus the old part of this old and new podcast. And you know, the other old part of this is I'm considerably older than Katie here, who's a youngster by other standards. So we're delighted to have Katie here and go on and do this old and new podcast.
It's a pleasure to be here as well.
So each month we invite a special guest or guests to join us as we discuss various topics of interest to writers and readers. We'll invite our guests to do a short reading and then follow with questions on the featured topic while encouraging them to do at least one giveaway to our audience.
As I said before, this month we'll be talking to our brand new to Affinity author Katie M. Hall about her debut novel, To Autumn, and we'll discuss new versus old authors.
I love the old part.
I know.
Following our podcast, we'll upload to a newly created YouTube channel and hope you'll consider subscribing so you never miss a future podcast.
I have the absolute honor and pleasure of introducing Katie. Katie is a 40-something, I love that, 40-something journalist and writing lesbian Londoner. She's co-founder and former editor-in-chief of the Planet London family of websites and contributed hundreds of articles for the LBQT community, including book and film reviews, celebrity interviews, opinion pieces, and features between 2011 and 2015. Her writing can also be found in many issues of the UK-based Diva magazine. Katie's poems and short stories have been shortlisted for several national UK writing awards. Her poetry is included in the Arachne Press Anthologies Byways 2024 and Times Go By Turns 2020. And her short stories feature in various lesbic collections, such as L is for ... 2014, and Lesbic Eclectic Volume 2, 2020. Kate, you get this bio is really challenging me. Katie is the creator and screenwriter of the first London LBQ web series and the award-winning She's in London and producer of the award-winning indie feature Under the Influencer.
Okay, that's quite a bio.
I know.
So without further ado, Miss Katie, you're on, so take it away.
Okay. So this is from the middle section of To Autumn, and it's sort of where things take a dramatic turn. And the main character, Robin and Autumn, are sitting on a bench in the evening sky together outside. She's still looking at me, and I feel like I should be doing something more than staring gormlessly back into her eyes. Her words are going round and round my head. Have I really just told her everything that I've been trying to push down for the last 4 months? What is it about her that made me spill my guts without even thinking about it? And then the bit where she said, I'm a lesbian, replays. I was too busy talking about my own stuff that I almost missed Autumn telling me her stuff. Maybe I misheard her. After what must be an unusually long silence, neither of us has spoken for several minutes now, I open my mouth. I'm about to ask her if she is a lesbian, if I really heard those words come out of her mouth, while her eyes are sinking deep into my soul. She adjusts herself and her fingertips are gently grazing my arm. The stillness of the night is palpable, and my heart is beating loud enough to sound like the intro of a soft rock ballad. My instinct is telling me to seize the fucking moment, and before I have a chance to question anything anymore, I lean in. Our lips are millimeters apart, her face close up and disjointed like a surrealist portrait. She smells of peach and coconut, always coconut. She doesn't pull back. Her fingers twitch against the skin of my arm. I close my eyes and make the smallest of movements until our lips meet. The softness overwhelms me and draws me in further, and my tongue traces the gap, finding hers. A thunderbolt dances down my spine. Her hand takes a firmer grip and pulls my body closer. Her lips open a little, and our tongues dance a waltz. There is nothing else in the world right now. The soft rock ballad plays through, Autumn's heartbeat harmonizing with mine. My lips smile into the kiss. Then a noise. A disturbance in the leaves. I pull back quickly, too quickly. The shock of my actions is sinking in. I kissed Autumn. I kissed a woman. Again. I broke my promise. Autumn leans forward and tries to steer my face back to hers. Another rustle, then a cough. Someone is here. I turn my head and Dean is there a few meters away, watching us, covered in sweat and playground dust. Autumn's head turns and clocks the intruder. Shit, she breathes. What is going on, Robin? Is she bothering you? I don't think so, buddy, Autumn says before I have a chance to answer. I bet your girlfriend would say differently. I bet yours would too. What is going on here? My brain and mouth finally switch into gear. Dean, this isn't what it looks like. Not that I know what it looks like. Please don't say anything, please. My parents can't know. I'm so sorry. There
That was
we go.
really good. I love this book. It's such a nostalgic, and I think it must be universal to have this sort of nostalgic feeling, even though it's set in across the pond for us. I mean, it's so universal. I mean, I can remember those feelings way back when.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved writing about it.
Yeah, it was a great story. I really appreciate it. And it was a fun read.
It was a fun read. Yep.
All right, Miss Annette, are you ready to read from your latest, The Kitten Trap?
I am, and I'm going to jump far into the book. Normally I do readings from the very beginning, but I decided I'm going to take you to the point where the kittens they have developed their plan, and they are in the midst of their plan to try to get their mommies back together. Midnight huffed and muttered, "How is it possible you were born in the same litter?" "That's just mean, Midnight." "I'm sorry, okay, let me see your paw." Onyx flopped onto the ground and lifted her back paw. "I hate those things. I don't understand why you love following Mac around the farm. Don't you get those stuck in your paw?" "I see it. Let me try to bite it off." Midnight began licking and biting at Onyx's paw in an attempt to remove the sticker. "Ow, ow," Onyx cried out. "Hold still, I'm trying to get it. Quit being a baby." "I've almost got it." Midnight bit one more time and the sticker embedded into her tongue. Whimpering, she said, "It's on my tongue now." She tried to hack it up like a fur ball, but the sticker wouldn't budge. "Run your tongue along the grass. Maybe it'll dislodge," Onyx suggested. "Midnight," Evan called. "Come on, Midnight. Your mama is really worried." Midnight crouched into the tall grass. She heard Evan shaking a bag of treats. She'd just have to endure the discomfort and try to loosen the goat head sticker after they found a more secure hiding place. Slinking through the grass, she hissed, "Come, let's go. I found a good place to hide by those trees." "Midnight, come on out. It'll be okay," Evan tried again. Midnight heard a distinctive sound that stopped her short in her tracks as they neared the cluster of trees and bushes. "Oh no," Midnight exclaimed, her words slightly slurred with the irritation to her tongue. "What now?" Onyx asked. 4 tiny noses peeked out from the den their mother had created. "Those are coyote pups. We need to make a run for it. If their mother returns, we're as good as pup food." "I don't want to do this anymore," Onyx whined. "Can't we go back to the house? It's safe there." "Soon. I know another place. Follow me," Midnight directed. Mac didn't know what to think when she pulled up beside Evan's truck and inspected the bed. Sure enough, there were tiny paw prints in the back leading away in the patches of dirt beside the gravel. It was hard to follow the tracks because there were paw prints everywhere. Midnight played outside all the time. Evan approached and offered a small wave. I didn't find Midnight, but I swear I heard her hiss. I'm not sure why, because I thought she had warmed more towards me over the last couple of months. She even started following me around a little bit when you were in the shed. Although you aren't going to like where I heard that sound because it's close to the coyote den you found last month." "Shit," Mac exclaimed. "I'm not going to shoot the mother with the pups still so helpless, even after her failed attempts to get inside the chicken coop." "You want me to put up some cat posts in the field?" Evan offered. "Just because Midnight hasn't ever wandered that far out doesn't mean she won't in the future. We probably should have done that long ago." "Fuck," Max swore. "Yeah, Midnight and Onyx are smart enough to climb the post to escape if they run into the mother. I'll help you." "No, I got this," Evan answered. "You two keep looking." Evan pointed to the large open field with the tree line on the right. "Check out that area, but be careful. The last thing you need is a protective mother coming at you. Don't worry about making cheese today. Tiffany and Amanda said they'd put in a few more hours to catch us up." Evan walked to the tool shed where they kept their fencing supplies. "Do you think Onyx did this because we separated them? This is all my fault," Carmen lamented. "I should have left her here with Midnight." "You have no way of knowing she'd sneak into Evan's truck," Max soothed. "At least she didn't try to make it to the farm on her own. I'm kind of impressed by their ingenuity. If we don't find them today, can I stay with you tonight? Maybe they'll come back if they hear us calling them both." "Of course," Mac answered, then chuckled. "I just got this insane idea that they're doing this just to get us living together again. You know, like the movie The Parent Trap? We're smack dab in the middle of the Kitten Trap."
Oh, I love those kittens.
Yeah, I love those kittens too. They're a lot like my cats.
Yeah.
They're too smart for their own good. They really are.
All right. Are you two ready for some questions?
I'm ready.
Yeah, hit us.
All right. Well, both new authors and ones that have been writing novels for years have insightful perspectives on the process of writing, as well as the advice for aspiring novelists. What are the greatest lessons you've learned? And Katie, we'll let you go first.
Thanks. I think for me, it's even if you don't make notes and you're more of a pantser, like have your vision in mind of what you're writing. Have a strong like feeling, visualization of what the whole piece looks like and kind of keep on track to that. So everything you're putting down is working towards your overall vision. And that might be a feeling, it might be a tone, it might be a character's journey. But I think if you've got that vision really clear, it makes the writing much easier.
Yeah, similar to that, I would say, when I first started writing, the first book I wrote was a paranormal book. Little did I know that paranormal wasn't really the top selling kind of book. Romance is queen out there. But then as as I continue to write more books, you know, honestly, my passion is writing books that are not just contemporary romance. I like to write stuff that's just a little different. And what I've found is that sometimes it doesn't matter. So some of my contemporary romances where you'd think that they would sell really well, haven't. And then some of the more quirkier things, or the ones that have been just a bit off, have sold really well. And it's kind of, I just don't know what to give advice to people other than write your passion. Whatever you have a passionate story, whenever you have a passionate story, it'll come through in your writing. And so if you don't want to write romance, don't write romance. Write what you have a passion for.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. Is there or was there anything surprising to you about becoming a published author?
Who's going first?
You
Me.
can go.
All right. Yes. One thing really surprised me, and that was how nervous I was in the run up to the book being released. And I did not expect that at all, because I love the book and I feel really confident in it. And I really love the work that we've done with Affinity, and like the cover's great and the editing was great. And then suddenly I had this panic of, what if no one likes it? And I didn't anticipate that at all. It settled down once the book did come out and people started reading it, but really didn't expect to be as nervous or feel as vulnerable as I did. So that was very surprising for me.
Yeah, and
Yeah, it looks like you've gotten some great response, right?
and great
Yeah.
reviews.
Yeah, and like directly personally from people who I know who've read it as well. It's just been overwhelming, the responses and how people have picked up things I was trying to do and appreciated the characters. So yeah, blown away by that.
Yeah, I don't know if this is a secret or not, but Allie and I both read your draft when it was submitted to Affinity, and we were both like, "Yeah, thumbs up! This is great.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because I don't think we have any other novels that are truly young adult.
No.
Locked Inside that I wrote is borderline maybe, but
Yeah.
I still wouldn't consider it
a
pure YA, because there are some, I wouldn't say they're graphic sex scenes, but there are some more detailed sex scenes not appropriate for, let's say, a 16-year-old. Anyway, what have I learned? I was surprised at the amount of marketing that is required, which I'll confess I hate. We do, but I don't like it, honestly.
Yeah, understood. Now that you have some experience with the process, what would you do differently, if anything? Katie, I'm gonna give you a moment. Let Annette take that one on first.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not sure that I do anything differently, to be honest, because how my process has worked for me. So I don't really know any other way, to be honest. For me, it's sitting the butt in the chair and having a goal. My goal is, I set a goal of 500 to 1,000 words a day. That way, you know, when I'm not really feeling the writing bug, I make the goal lower to 500. And I've only done that a couple of times. Most of the time, writing 1,000 words is pretty easy. And that gives me really the ability of getting the first draft down on paper in about 60 days. Because even though I have a goal of 1,000 words a day, it's usually more than that. And my books tend to be somewhere around 70 to 75,000. That's the average, 70 to 75,000 words. So they're not, my books aren't super long, but they're not super short.
Okay. Katie?
I think similar to you, Annette, not particularly lots, but one thing would be kinder to myself about the days where the words don't come, and it's okay to have an off day. And you just pick it up again the next day. So just to keep that gentle kindness and compassion for myself, but also the marketing side of things. I don't know how something about being more creative, and that can come at any time. But I think, yeah, taking advice maybe, and like some friends have given me some really good advice, but doing more creative marketing stuff to just try and reach, beyond the kind of easy audience.
Wow, I'd love to hear about what some of those creative suggestions were, because I mean, I'm always struggling with what do you think some of the best suggestions about creative marketing have been for you?
Particularly thinking about Instagram, and I guess some of that overlaps maybe. I mean, I don't use TikTok, but thinking about things that do well on Instagram, and like I've just done like short videos of me like reading like a paragraph, or talking about a clip, and then having some music in the background and having some words come up, and using the reels and the stories for Instagram. And there's like some really useful tools that mean you can do it pretty quickly as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So using more like of that kind of content, which I had really not done before. I'd only ever used images. So like a bit more quick, short videos with music and just attention grabbing things. I
Right.
found those really actually easy to do and did really well on social media.
That's good. Do you do Facebook Live?
I
That's
don't.
my
I've
that's
never
my
done that.
go-to, because it's so easy.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of Facebook groups that will watch those for sure.
Cool. That's a good tip. I'll look into that. But then you could like use some of that Facebook Live video and put that on Instagram after as well, and make a little reel for it. So also doing stuff for one platform that you could repurpose for another, I
Yeah.
think another good tip.
Isn't there some limitations on size though with its Instagram? See, with Facebook Live, you can ramble, and that's me. I ramble. So-
It's got better.
oh, it
And
is. Okay.
but also like if you did a Facebook Live, you wouldn't have to put the whole thing up. You could just clip like a short section of it and then put that up, right?
Good. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Good.
Much different than 10 years ago, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I
Yeah.
mean, my wife is a bigger Instagram fan than me, but I guess she just got off of it because I don't know, politics, whatever.
Yeah.
So she said, I'm getting off of Instagram.
It's stressful. All of it is.
So I was like, oh, well, not good with Instagram.
All right, Katie, what brought you to Affinity as a possible small publisher? What attracted you?
I think I always knew I wanted to work with a small publisher. I felt like my book isn't particularly commercial, so I kind of also wrote off a lot of bigger publishers. But there's something about working with a publisher that's their audience is the audience you want to reach, and so that kind of overlap and really dovetailed nicely. And also wanting to support and work with, an LGBTQ kind of business that was, working with queer authors, queer women authors, and the reason I came to Affinity specifically was just doing some like I joined some of the Facebook groups and saw how Affinity posted about their like books that were coming out, at the time, sort of about 8 months ago, and I liked that approach. So that made me think, yeah, that's feels like an organization, a company I want to talk to.
Oh, well, that's good. We start our marketing is working.
It is, even for authors as well as readers, I think.
Good.
Well, we're mighty proud to have you as part of our family.
We are, yes.
I'm very proud to belong. I think, as I said before, possibly in the last interview, going it alone and self-publishing did not feel like something I wanted to do. And so I definitely wanted to feel like a part of a community and get that like the support and like Affinity's really delivered on supporting me through the process, like explaining kind of all the steps and working with me, and like I, genuinely has made it like a really easy, safe process for me to be part of.
It's good. Good to
Yeah,
hear.
I made the mistake of trying to do it myself at the beginning, and it was just such a relief just to turn in a manuscript to be reviewed at Affinity, and it just kind of a weight off your shoulders, not having to worry about editing and cover art and
Yeah,
Yeah.
all the other stuff.
yeah.
I mean, it can be done, but it's a lot of work. I mean, it's enough work to market your book, add all the rest of that stuff, and it just becomes unmanageable at some point.
Yeah, and it's like it's got to be good what you put out. So you don't have to just know how to do all of the stuff. You want to be really good at it as well, like the formatting for Kindle or, yeah, a book
Right,
cover or all the
right,
layout stuff and
right.
editing and proofreading, and that's a lot to take on as an individual.
It
And great,
is.
some people do it and they do it a really great job, but like I felt like I wanted to not share the load, but like be supported by people who already know what they're doing in that
Yeah.
space.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. We're in a very interesting time right now with the changes in the industry and pressures on small publishers. What are your perspectives about getting too political about those pressures? Miss Queen of Politics, I'll pass that to you first, Annette.
Oh
Yeah,
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 yeah, um, yeah. Oftentimes, being the old one here, over the years, I've definitely gotten advice from um, other folks to not be political on my author Facebook page. I don't have a personal Facebook page, so my real name. I don't have a real name Facebook. Everything I do with Facebook is tied to my author persona, but it's really hard for me to separate that, to be honest. So, and it's really hard for me to keep my big mouth shut. I just can't. I always say this, and I honestly believe it. What we permit, we promote. And the worst thing that we can do is stay quiet. And so if it's going to cost me sales, so be it. Um, because I can't. And so many of my books, I would say the vast majority, not all. I mean, the Kitten Trap doesn't really have much politics in it. So there are some that don't have politics in it, but the vast majority of my books, I, it's very clear where my political leanings are, and they come out loud and clear. And I think that writing sometimes also is a vehicle for that. Some of the greatest novels and classics in history have told a tale about the politics of that time. And so why would I separate that? Now I'm sure I've ticked people off that don't share my views. Um, okay, they probably wouldn't buy my books anyway. So,
right, right.
so
Katie?
that's my thought.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you've said, Annette, but also like as a writer, and as I guess an activist in the community, like there's two words that I try and return to all the time, and that's authenticity and integrity. And if what I'm saying feels authentic and it feels like I'm delivering it with integrity, then I think I can stand by those words. And if it does, piss people off or people don't like it, then they're not my readers anyway. And um, they don't want to listen to what I have to say. But sometimes we do need to say things, and having a little bit of a platform is the opportunity for us to speak out, and speak, for our community. And just writing, I think, books about women loving women is a small p political act in itself, because that representation is vital, and possibly like life saving for some people. So we're already doing it, but yeah, I just return to, am I being authentic? Am I being am I showing integrity, then I stand by what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Katie, you've chosen to write a YA or young adult novel for your debut novel. And Annette, you went the total polar opposite and you went paranormal, which neither are the top selling genres. I mean, let's be fair about it. Why did you decide against contemporary romance with a sweet spot for age range?
Let Katie go first.
Okay. So the original first chapter of To Autumn was a contemporary romance set very much in the present and with older characters, and it just wasn't working. And so I put it aside and then took a step back and thought, what's the vision of what I'm trying to say? And I wanted to write about those intense feelings of a love that might not happen, and that you have to keep, the feeling of having to keep it inside, and something that may or may not work out in the end. And I was just mulling it over, and then someone suggested like writing something that was much more contained, and I suddenly thought, great, let's think about how I can reframe what I'm trying to tell in that story into this other setting. And then it just came. Like, it was a long drive home, the characters came, the setting came, the time frame came, and I was like, this is how I can tell this story of these two people who probably belong together, but are going to have a journey to kind of end up together, and lots of suppressed feelings and things like that. And I like the coming of age genre is one of my, like, it's my favorite genre, really, apart from time travel. And so I was always going to write something in that genre, and time travel is definitely coming up for me down the line. So I think it's important that you write for yourself and not what you think people might want to read, because again, that's the authentic. And you talked earlier about your passion, and it's not going to be, true to the story if you're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole, and it just won't work. So yeah, I had to kind of piece it together, and then it came.
Well, from a reader's perspective, I see, parents, mothers, fathers even sometimes coming on board and asking for YA recommendations. And it's like, yes, I've got one I can recommend now. It's like, and it's such a great story. So it's very refreshing. And I think it's good that, we have a YA story to promote.
Yep.
I think that's something that we've been lacking.
Thanks.
Yeah, definitely.
And just to add to that, like, it wasn't written ever just for a young audience. Like, the nostalgia and setting it in that time period for me was also writing a bit of a love letter to people that were coming of age, whatever age they were, but coming of age in the 90s and the pre-digital era, and wanting to kind of show my appreciation for some of the things, and laughter for some of the things of that time. So I was always thinking about kind of two audiences when writing it.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's so true. I mean, I wouldn't say that I necessarily go to YA as my first choice for novels, but I have enjoyed many YA novels because they can be really fun for that sort of nostalgia. One of my favorite shows, and I was way into adulthood, was what was it? Gosh, it was set back in the 70s. It was a very popular television show here in the United States, and now I can't remember what, because I'm old. But I loved it because it totally brought me back to because the characters in the show were the same age as me, and the whole, do you like her? Do you, that whole thing just it was so fun to go back to, but like you're talking about, that nostalgia. For me, the reason why I wrote, and my debut novel is it eventually gets there to shapeshifters and vampires, right? And nod to Allie because I absolutely loved Sapphic vampire stories. And I had read Allie Spooner's series, the Sasha, how do you say that name? Thibodeau?
Thibodeau.
Thibodeau. Sasha Thibodeau, which is what brought me to, interesting, it was circle back around to what brought me to Affinity was, some of the stories, Allie's in particular, and also Julie and Aaron O'Reilly, the late Aaron O'Reilly's When Hell Meets Heaven series. Great series, both of them. Anyway, I naively, as a new author, not as a young author, because I didn't start writing until I was like 54, as a new author, thought, of course, Sapphic vampire stories will be big sellers because I loved them, and I thought everybody should love them. Turns out not so much. I think there are folks who really love them, but not enough. Interestingly enough, though, it's been 10 years since that book came out, and eventually, at first it was a very slow start, but eventually I made money for Affinity, so I feel okay about the fact that it might have taken a few years, but they eventually got their money back on my debut novel. And I think what happens is, as people get to know you as a writer and they like some of your stuff, they'll go back and buy your backlist.
Yeah.
So even if books don't sell a ton in the beginning, as you write more and you have a larger backlist, then people can go back to those and get those. And in fact, I think there might be even a sweet spot to that, where like the first 10 novels you write really generate, and then you start getting into, like Allie and I, 30 and 40 novels. And then it's like, there's so much that people don't necessarily, even if they like you or like you as an author, there's diminishing numbers of individuals who will get everything you've ever written. There are a core group.
Yeah.
But, when you have so many to offer people, it becomes harder to sell those later ones, to be honest.
And I think that's still true today. I mean,
Yeah.
people are kind of hesitant to get that debut author's first book.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
And they, kind of sit back and wait and see how it does and read the reviews and,
Yeah.
they don't gamble. But once they realize, 2 or 3 books down the road that, hey, this person's got a real talent for telling stories.
Yeah.
I think that makes a big difference. And then you're right. They do go back and buy up the backlist stuff. So, even if it at first doesn't sell like hotcakes, have faith that as you continue to write and they become more aware of you in the community, sales will pick up.
Yeah. 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 I mean, this is the toughest time I think I've ever experienced. And even, veteran authors out there are feeling this pinch, whether it's politics or just the economies. I don't really know what's going on, or just that there's just so much more available to people to choose from out there. Probably a combination of all three of those things. But yeah, it's a tough time for authors in our community now. Not just new authors.
Yeah. Tell us about your writing experience from start to finish. What's the most challenging part of writing a novel for you, Katie?
The most challenging part genuinely is in any writing, so I don't necessarily write every day, but I write in chunks, just the sitting down and getting started. And once you're over that hurdle, the words come. And so this book took a little while because I did some of it during my master's degree, then put it away and then came back to it. And so the last third I wrote when I sat down and said, I'm just going to write 350 words, not even 500 or 1,000, but I always came in over that 350. It was just that psychological thing of that's all you have to do. 350 words. That's a paragraph or two, and then you get going. So yeah, that psychological hurdle of just first thing, in the morning or whenever you start, sitting down and starting and not procrastinating or not getting distracted by other things. And then I
So
think
would you consider yourself a plotter or a pantster then? Or a
both.
combination? Okay.
Combination. I think, like, I go back to what I said earlier about having that vision and knowing where you
Mhm.
want things to go. I don't necessarily wouldn't necessarily plot the whole thing in advance before starting, but
Mhm.
before starting any chunk of writing, would like to I like to know kind of where I see things going. So I might do it in blocks rather than the whole thing. But I, might have the vision and then, like, in blocks think, right, this is what needs to happen next and next. But yeah, so a combination. Yeah.
Sister Pantster, what do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, we all know that I'm a pantster. I mean, I might have a vision or an idea for a story, and I'll know, and I know that it has to have a happily ever after because I like personally happily ever afters. Not that it's one of those unwritten rules that we have to keep to because some people don't adhere to it and they still sell really well. But I like happily ever after. So I know my vision generally, very, very generally, probably not as detailed as yours. And then I dispense. And so my writing process is, like I said before, writing, every day, X number of words is a goal. Once I get that finished, then I always have Pro Writing Aid and Grammarly up on my screen. So I am doing some editing as I'm going, but then I'll also, once the first rough draft is done, I will go through it again. And then I will listen to it and read over it a minimum of 5 times before submitting. So then I submit, and then it goes through that whole process. So I have horrible OCD and just read through and pick and pick and pick and pick. And um, I'm less awful about that when I'm doing the final proof editing, but I'm still pretty OCD. I will tell you that. And I think I did yours. I did yours.
Yeah. Yeah, she's our OCD queen, and thank God for it.
Yeah, but that's what we need. Like, you want it to be the best version it can be. So
Absolutely.
what anything that's improving that
Right.
is really helpful. So, we
Yeah.
need all those different things to come together and make the final product.
Right. And I don't proof edit my own work. We have another proof editor for my stuff. And even then, after that, I go through it a minimum of 5 times, even after the proof editor, because what I find is that different people find different things. And it will get by, Affinity has a lot of levels of editing. It will always get by those levels. So I guess that is one recommendation that I will make to new authors. Don't just leave it at your editor and your proof editor. You go through your final book because that's yours. It's your name's on it. So if somebody misses something, you can potentially catch it.
Yeah, absolutely. How much research do you do for your books?
For me, it depends on the book, really. So for To Autumn, it was silly things like looking up the weather reports for that summer, and some of the TV listings of the references in there, and like looking at music's quite important in the book as well. So looking at what was popular in the charts, and so, like, really in, like, quite nice, kind of context research, which was quite fun to do, and just great that a lot of that data's out there now. Like, I could look up, I think I watched on YouTube like TV weather reports to get what the weather was doing in Devon where it's set in that summer. So yeah, it was quite fun research.
Is the caravan park actually a caravan park that you've been to?
No, it's not it's not a real one itself, but it is really, really heavily based on one that I used to go to with my family in the 80s, but in a completely different place, completely different name. All of that's fictional, but like in my mind, I'm seeing the one that we went to on our family holidays.
That's cool. Annette?
Yeah, almost every book has something in it that requires research. And you're right, a lot of times it's the little things. For like what was the weather like at a certain time? Particularly if you're writing books that are, I'm not gonna, I'm gonna say historical. Some are really historical, but others are just slightly historical, even 5 years ago or whatever. You want to make sure that the right television shows, movies, etc., are in that, or else somebody's going to catch it. Somebody's going to catch it.
And
I even go
that
and
information's
look
there.
up. Yeah, I even go sometimes look up. When somebody's traveling, taking a plane somewhere, I'll look up actual flights to know when that person would typically leave and when they would get to their end destination and all of those things, because it's those little details that make a difference.
Yeah, I think they ground it and they stop, like someone who knows that is incorrect, it takes you out of the story
Yep.
when you're like, "Oh, that flight, that those flights between those two airports doesn't exist." So that
Yeah.
one, it takes you right out. So I think it's so it grounds it, but also that information is so easy to get hold of now as well.
It is,
Like
yeah.
there's not really an excuse not to do it.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Well, I'm going off script with this one a little bit because
Go for it.
I saw Annette's smile and her eyebrows raised when you mentioned time travel. Would you ever consider a collaboration?
I mean, personally, I'm always open to collaboration. I think if the story's right and the kind of, hate this word, but vibe is right, the kind of the practice, approach is right between the two authors, then I think it can really work. And it's such a lovely, with the right people, it's such a lovely thing to do, to share ideas, create something together. I've like had other collaborative writing partners for other projects, and I've always thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyed it. And then it also, like you're developing a new relationship with another person, that's also really enjoyable, hopefully. And I think you can create something that you could never have done on your own, right? So
Definitely.
Oh, you're just trying to light a fire under my ass, aren't you, Allie? Because I started a time travel novel months ago, and then I got a little discouraged and I just let it be for a while. I'm back writing on it, Allie, so don't worry. I'm writing my 1,000 words every day. I will have a time travel novel for Affinity to consider, definitely by the end of the summer. So
well, if you need a
there you
beta reader,
Well, and that's one of the things. Annette and I have collaborated on several
Yeah.
things. We're both extremely competitive individuals. So, I mean, we knock out the first draft in 30
30 days
days.
usually.
wow.
Yeah.
Because
But
what happens is I'll write, like she's so awful. She just really gets me to push myself, because Allie doesn't just write 1,000 words a day. No, Allie's got to be the superstar. And so she'll write like 3,000 words. She'll write a whole chapter or whatever, and in like a day. And then she'll send it to me. Well, then I feel compelled to write as much and send it back to her within that same time frame, right?
right.
Wow.
We are just like poking at each other.
Yeah. But it's a lot of fun. And
It's
like
fun.
you said, you write stuff that you may not normally write. I mean, we've started off on some tangents and gone complete opposite ways. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was reading, I'm going off on a tangent again. Our Trophy Wives Club series came about because I was added to some Facebook group, Women Against Prostitution, blah, blah, blah. I was joking. joking around, saying, like, I don't know many lesbian prostitutes. So I had to research it. Well, sure enough, yes, there are. 15% of this famous, I don't know what it's in Las Vegas or the Las Vegas area where it's legal, escort service, prostitution, whatever you want to call it. What do they call it in the Old West? The
Brothel.
Brothel. Well,
Yeah.
basically it's a modern day brothel. 15% of their business is women. Not women and a man, just women, 15%. So I said, I think we need to write a book about this. So she had already, didn't she already start it or something like that? You'd already started. She'd already started it. She goes, great, I'm off. She wrote the first book. And we kind of collaborated so that we would have overlapping characters. And so I wrote the second book, and then we wrote the third and the fourth together, bringing all the characters from both of the overlapping characters together, and it worked really well. Yeah, we just did and I forced her to do my favorite, which is first person.
Oh,
Yeah.
but that's it.
Allie's never done first person.
That's great.
I love first person, so I forced her to do first person. And since then, you have written another first person.
Yeah.
And
I'm getting educated on it.
Yeah.
It's nice to get out of your comfort zone when it's a safe environment, like you're being held and it's safe to do so. Like it's great that you can just experiment and try getting out of your comfort zone.
See, and I love first person because it's easy to forget which point of view you're in when you're writing a scene. Like, is this person's point of view or this person's point of view? Whose point of view is this? And then you forget, and so you do a little head hopping. Well, in first person, it's always that person's point of view. So it's always easy to remember whose point of view you're in rather than jumping scenes. So for me, I find first person the easiest to write in, but it's not a favorite for folks.
Okay. Do you have a current work in progress, Katie?
Yes. So I am, for my PhD, I'm writing a memoir that thinks about queer friendship and friendships between women, and how they can be kind of, political and feminist acts, and kind of from an academic perspective, thinking about that in relation to like some big theory like Judith Butler and big queer theory. So it's very, very different from To Autumn. Very like it is personal stories. There's lots of autobiographical moments in there, and self-questioning and kind of discourse with theory. So I'm with my supervisor, we're thinking about how we might pitch that as a book to nonfiction publishers, as something a little bit academic, but also very confessional, very personal, and see if there's interest in that. It's very different kind of. I've had fun. It's very experimental and pretentious, and I've had a lot of fun going like in another direction and playing with what you can do, in terms of a memoir. There's lots of poetry in there and other forms. It's not just straight prose. So be interesting to see if there is interest in picking that up and publishing it.
I'd love to read it. Yeah.
Hopefully you'll do another fiction book.
Yeah, so I really want to write about, this is where the time travel comes in, the pirates, Anne Bonny and Mary Read. Like their lives really intrigue me.
Yes.
I love them. I'm a bit obsessed with them, and kind of queering their story, and maybe building in some time travel to that, like historical
there we go.
fiction as well. So I've been thinking about that, and I think that's what will come after the memoir.
Ooh, I'll look forward to reading that for sure. So, okay, good.
All right. And Annette, you time travel. Anything else?
No, I don't think so. I mean, that'll be a struggle enough for me to, I mean, I haven't had the writing bug for a long time, so that'll be a struggle enough to get that done and completed. I know that we talked about doing our what their fifth book, right, in the Trophy Wives series. So maybe down the road we'll get back to that. But
And we got to do a Christmas story.
oh yeah, we have to do a Christmas story. Yeah.
I wonder if we could do time travel in the Christmas story.
You know, there aren't many out there. Not many time travel sapphic novels.
Yeah.
There are, you know, and I was thinking, you know, when we do a podcast in the future, if that does get published by Affinity, Affinity might say, no way, we're not publishing this. But you know, I posted the first scene and I got a lot of response like, yeah, I want to read this. So hopefully they will decide to publish it. But yeah, Nicole Pylan, who we already had on, is the only other person I know of. So I have to do some research on who else has written time travel.
I've read a couple because it's
Have you?
a genre I'm really interested in and it's very
Yeah.
niche. So I will send you those. But I only found two, so yeah.
Yeah, there are not very many out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
All right. Katie, is there anything else you'd like to share with us today?
Oh, this is the one bit I didn't think about in advance. What I else want to share. The audio book is going to be coming out, I guess, soon. So keep your eyes open. I'm really excited about the audiobook. I've heard some excerpts and you know, really sort of was really emotional for me to hear the words being read by
Yeah.
someone and kind of their take on some of the language as well. I've just not had that experience before with anything. So I'm really excited for the audiobook coming out, and that's definitely something to keep your eyes open for in the near future.
I might pop onto ACX and because I have access to it and listen, get a little teaser.
Yeah. Amy's got a great voice.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Really fits the story. It's going to
That's
be
good.
Yeah, I'm really pleased that Amy's doing it. Amy Scanlon, she is someone I know, and when I kind of thought of approaching her, I just thought, yeah, she will get what I'm trying to do. And yeah, like I said, brought shivers to me and tears to me when I heard the initial bits.
Yeah,
It's amazing. Yeah.
yeah. Danny is working on the Kitten Trap, so hopefully that'll be out in maybe another month or so. So that's good.
Yeah.
And we'll get yours up on the Affinity website, and I'll pull a clip from ACX to put there so that people can listen to that right from the Affinity website.
Okay. All right. So I guess in closing, unless we have anything else, don't forget to check out our YouTube channel and subscribe. Who do we have coming up next month?
Sports.
Ooh.
We have Jen Lyon, who's written The Senator's Wife and The Unfinished Line, very popular books. And yours, Nothing But Net, is coming out next month as well. So women in sports, Sapphic sports. Great. That's a popular trope. So I think it's going to do well.
Said to Ali earlier, like I would definitely love to write about something about softball in the future too, as a big softball player over here and part of a major LGBTQ softball club. So yeah, love it.
So, you know, I was going to ask you about this. This is getting off track, but I didn't realize that softball was big in the UK, right? Like,
yeah,
I mean, I know
it's getting there.
Football, or what we call soccer, I knew that was rugby is big there, but softball is basketball also, you know, like women's basketball is big here.
Not in the same way. I would say softball's bigger than basketball.
Wow.
It's at a grassroots level, especially in London, it's because there's a huge expat community of Americans and Canadians and South Africans and Australians and other countries who play at home. So that's the kind of something that they come to, and then there's the kind of big like advertising league, legal league. There's all these big leagues as well. But it's also a really accessible sport for new like beginners. Like you can kind of join at any level, so it has become really popular, and there's been a lot of investment in that. But yeah, it's great. And so I belong to like one of the largest LGBTQ sports clubs in the country, London Raiders, and we have 7 teams that play in a couple of leagues in London.
Now,
And
is it fast pitch or slow pitch?
slow pitch and
Okay.
primarily co-ed as well.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, and then there's a small amount of single gender softball too, but yeah, it's a big family thing. It's a big, huge community. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So
Do they ever stream any of your games that we could watch?
not our games. There are some exhibition games sometimes, and like we do have a GB softball team, you know, who do quite well in Europe. And then also we have the MLB comes over once a year now and plays a series in London. So we do a lot of spin-off events based around that as well, which is really cool.
Wow.
Well, the women's professional league here starts today. It's
Yeah,
know,
so
right?
exciting.
So
really
I
excited about that.
I think maybe they will be branching out to Europe in the very near future.
Yeah, that would be awesome if they
Maybe it'll
if
be
they
as big as
did.
soccer. Yeah. All right. All right. So tune in next month. So when we talk about women in sports, and it was wonderful having you, Katie. Good luck with your brand new novel. Like I said, we hear great things about it, and I read it, and it is great. So hopefully others will pick it up.
Thank you
Absolutely.
both, and happy Pride Month as well.
Oh yes, happy Pride. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.